Hey, yo, what's good, people? Listen, there's gonna be an interesting one here. Female fencer takes knee against trans opponent. Hey, I be saying they going too far. This year what happened. This year what happened.
Interested in a female fencer stands up for fairness in women's sports. She did it by taking a knee and refusing to compete against a biological male at a tournament over the weekend. The referee's response, a black card, the sport's most severe penalty, which means expulsion from the tournament. Let's bring in the athlete at the center of it all, Stephanie Turner. Stephanie, thanks so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So this was an Olympic qualifying event. My understanding of it is. This was something that you had prepared all your life for. It wasn't an Olympic qualifying event. I'm sorry. I had heard that this morning.
No, it wasn't.
It was an important event, though.
Appreciate you.
And this is something that you've been preparing for an awfully long time. You decided that you were going to take yourself out of the tournament. What was the thinking in leading up to the decision where you took a knee?
Right, so this was actually a regional tournament held by the USFA at the University of Maryland. So part of my pre-competition ritual is to check the online registration to see who is going to be there and just double check my check-in times. And on the registration list, I saw Redmond Sullivan's name listed there. And I recognized this individual from a previous Redux article that had been written stating that this person was a man who had previously competed on the men's team at Wagner and was now competing as a woman within the USFA. So from that point, I just got really disappointed with the USFA and with this tournament, and I just felt like at a loss. I'd already committed so much money to it and training out.
All right, see, first of all, that right there. I just don't understand how that is possible that somebody can be in a high school or college, university program, compete in a boys/men's program, right? And then suddenly think, okay, you know what? I'm gonna identify as female now, and then just walk in and write himself down as female, tell people they consider themselves female, and then can just compete against females. Like, psychologically, what's going on with society at that point, right? Psychologically, like, why? You got psychiatrists, like, see, this is what baffles me the most, right? You got psychiatrists, psychologists, call it what you want. You got these people that are diagnosing sicknesses, right? These people that are diagnosing sicknesses, right? They have patients in hospitals, psychiatric facilities. They have patients there. They know what psychological disorders are. But in the one place that, quite frankly, should be obvious to any simpleton, really, you're gonna stand there and tell me that it makes sense for somebody just to have a mental switch and be like, okay, because I consider myself this now, y'all gonna treat me as such, put me in the same light, in the same state. When did we start lying to each other to the face? When did we start caring about emotions so much that we just lost sight of common sense? When did we start leading with emotion that we just decided as a group, as a community, as a globe, let's put common sense aside? When did that happen? When you have grown men and women, educated men and women, agreeing to the point that, okay, because these people feel oppressed, whether right or wrong, because they feel inferior, whether right or wrong, because they feel excluded, whether right or wrong. We should just be accepting of everything they do. When the hell did that ever happen? Now you got a dude waking up tomorrow morning and being like, okay, I'm a woman now. I'm a girl now. I ran a 50 and a 400 last year. This year, I think I'm gonna start transitioning. Who knows? By the time I get into that competition at the end of the year, I might just win the women's gold. By the end of next year, who knows? I might just be woman of the year. This is crazy. This is wild. This. I'm gonna go off on a tangent, but this is here where she's going with this.
And I was literally looking forward to this. I do this tournament every year.
Yeah.
I think this may be like my 10th year in a row doing this tournament. And I just got really sad and I started crying because this was like the last thing I wanted to deal with in my competition.
So at one point in the video, so we see.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't even care about what he's gonna say. When you hear a female athlete saying that this situation gets her to a point she gets so emotional she starts to cry because she's basically feeling let down. That's what's going on here. She's feeling let down. She's feeling let down by society. She's feeling let down by the same fundamentals that told her that society would take care of her, and now society seems to have turned her back on her in favor of somebody who is clearly mentally, psychologically not okay. But for some reason, she, the girl child, should suffer for that. I don't understand that. I'm not saying I'm the best man made to talk on these situations. I'm not perfect, but I do got common sense. So now she's saying she broke down over this. She prepared a long time for this competition. And then registration, she's looking through the names. She sees this guy's name is there. She's thinking to herself, wait, I heard about this guy. This the same guy who used to compete with the dudes. Hence, I'm referring to him as a guy. It's the same dude. Now he wants to compete with us because he couldn't cut it with the dudes. And they just letting him? And if I agree, then that means I'm letting him too. I'm letting him take what's mine. I'm agreeing. I'm saying yes. He can do it. But if I do decide to take a knee against this brother, against his man, against, if I do take a knee, if I do take a stand, I'm telling them that their lie is indeed a fallacy. Not all dreams can come true and should. You know what I mean? Not all dreams can and should come true. And if they could, I would will myself to riches. God knows, God willing. But life isn't made like that. You can't just decide that's what you want to be, because if that's what people are deciding to be, then there is no limits to what you can in actual fact be? If you're gonna let these guys into these competitions break these girls' hearts, you care more about the emotions of a mentally sick person than you do the emotions of a perfectly normal girl child, female, lady. You're saying, no, you know what? As a matter of fact, your emotions, because you feel excluded, right? Because my brother, because my sister, because you feel excluded, your emotions are more important than this lady over here. You know what? Matter of fact, trans men are excluded from this conversation. I'm specifically referring to the trans women. That this guy here, he enters a women's competition. See, I was gonna say, wait, where are your balls? Clearly, they are none. There is no pride. Ego's gone. Hence, we find ourselves in this situation because if there was pride, you wouldn't be there. If you had any sort of an ego, any sort of an ego, women will tell you they've got egos. Women don't got egos. What ego? What ego does a woman have? Okay, she got an ego. Egos are for men. Egos are a competitive thing. All right. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I'll care more about the emotions of a mentally deranged person, mentally sick person, somebody. I don't know. Maybe deranged is the wrong word to use in this. I don't, because yeah, deranged probably that wasn't the correct word to use, but mentally this is not okay. Because if we all decided to have and make such decisions, we could potentially include ourselves in anything we wanted to be. Right? I want to be a professional athlete, but I'm not gonna be like, okay, because I can't do it as a guy, I'm gonna transition to be a woman just so I compete with these. I know for sure I compete. Like, I could probably roll out of bed and beat a lot of these women in a lot of these sports without doing half as much the work as they do, based on the fact that I am a man. Now you want to take advantage of that and insert yourself in a space where you don't belong, where you know you can't actually gain. You want to cheat the system. It's call it what it is. How are you as a man? You say you're afraid because you feel different to what your gender assigned is. You're afraid to use the same toilets that your gender assigned to. You're afraid. How do you think that a female would feel when you walk into their place of safety? How do you think a female feels when you walk in there? You say you feel unsafe walking into your gender assigned bathroom. How do you think a female feels when somebody who's not gender assigned to that place, walks into that place? How do you think a woman feels when you walk into their bathroom if you feel unsafe walking into a bathroom that you actually should be walking into? And the only reason you feel afraid to walk in that gender specifically assigned toilet that you should be in, only reason you feel afraid is because of what's going on up here. Now you got something imaginary going on up here that makes you afraid to walk into where you should be walking into. How do you think she feels? How do you think the 8-year-old feels? The 10-year-old, the 12-year-old, the 14-year-old, the 16-year-old, the 18-year-old, the 20-year-old, 25-year-old, the 30-year-old, the 35-year-old, the 40-year-old, the 45-year-old, the 50-year-old. How do you think that man out there feels watching his daughter walk into that bathroom, watching you walk in behind her, knowing exactly what goes on through a man's mind, knowing exactly what you could be capable of? I'm not saying what you are capable of. I'm saying what you could be capable of. If you're afraid, there's a reason you're afraid to go into your gender-assigned bathroom. Because of what you assume those people are capable of, right? Because you have that assumption that makes you afraid to go in and use your gender-assigned washroom. The same assumption canon should be made by the females seeing you walk into that. They should be afraid because you shouldn't be there. But here you are, now wanting to let's call a spade a spade. This is fencing. You trying to bring your wrath down on this girl. You want to impose your strength on her. You want to do sword fighting with a girl. You want to joust with a girl? Come on, brother. That's like let me see. I don't even know. That's like Shohei Ohtani wanting to pitch to a softball hitter. I don't care who she is. That's the equivalent that you think that would be okay? Or what's his name? The Dodgers boy who just came back from injuries, been out a couple years. What's his name? Dustin. It's Dustin. That boy he throws heats. He throws 100 miles an hour. You wanna who give me your best softball hitter? I don't know their names. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna lie to you. How do you think she's gonna do against him? Come on, y'all. This be serious.
We see you take a knee, and then the official comes over. What did you say to the official at that point?
So the official came over to me and asked if I was still refusing to fence, and I said yes. Oh, are you talking about initially?
Yes.
Or when I got the black card?
No, initially.
Initially, I told them that I was refusing to fence because this person is a man and I am a woman, and this is a women's tournament, and I refuse to fence on principle.
And then later, right after this, we see your opponent comes over. What did you say to your opponent at that point?
My opponent was a little bit confused, thinking that I was maybe hurt.
Confused about what?
And I said, no, I am refusing to fence you because I'm a woman and you are a man.
You're a man.
I have much love and respect for you, but I will not compete against you.
Wow.
And he responded, okay, well, there's a, yes?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm sorry, what was his response?
His response was, okay, but there's a member of the board of directors here, and he supports me, and there's a policy that says that I'm a woman and I'm allowed to compete in the women's tournament. And
all right, so first of all, who's this member of the board of directors? All right, who's this member of the board of directors? He supports this debauchery. He supports you making a mockery of the women's sport. Stepping into places you shouldn't be in. That's what he supports. Who is this member of the board? That is throwing their power around. Putting people in places they shouldn't be in. Who is this member of the board? Oh my goodness. See, so now he feels empowered because he has this member of the board sitting in the back saying, yeah, let him in there. Now, this dude feels so entitled, so empowered that he's got the balls to say to this girl, this lady, you know you're gonna get disqualified, right? You know if you don't fight me, you're gonna. A man telling a woman, you know if you don't fight me, you're gonna get disqualified, right? You're a man. You shouldn't be here. That's exactly why I'm not fighting you, because you shouldn't be here. And you have the audacity to say, if I don't fight you, I'm going to get black carded. Clearly, there's nothing. Clearly.
If you do this, you're going to get blackcarded. And I said, I know.
So here's what USA Fencing said in a statement to Fox News Digital. USA Fencing enacted our current transgender and non-binary athlete policy in 2023. The policy was designed to expand access to the sport of fencing and create inclusive, safe spaces. It goes on to talk more, but this idea about inclusive, safe spaces, what about inclusive, safe spaces for female athletes?
Right. There's nothing for me and there's everything for him. Because I have no choice as a woman, as a female, in where I compete. I am a woman and I have an athletic disadvantage to men, so I compete in the women's division, which is where I rightfully am. But he has been given this opportunity to fence in the women's division, and he can compete. He can easily compete in the men's division. He can also compete at mixed events in local tournaments if he wants. There is a place for him. So the idea that they're creating they're expanding the women's is just essentially making it an open tournament.
Look at him standing over here like that.
It ends up hurting me and other girls.
So you've got the support of Riley Gaines, who was on our network earlier today, and former tennis star Martina Navratilova, who put this out on X. She said, this is what happens when female athletes protest. Anyone here still think this is fair? I am fuming, and shame on USA Fencing. Shame on you for doing this. How dare you throw women under the gender BS bus? I mean, this doesn't come at the expense of male athletes. We don't see this on the flip side of the coin. This all comes at the expense of female athletes like yourself, like Riley Gaines, like the girls who lost that race by 7 seconds in Oregon, like the girls who lost the...
You know what the thing is, right? People, I've heard this argument a lot. Like, you'll hear people who are in favor of this say, oh, well, why are you guys so concerned about the 1%, the 2%? Like, it's not even that many of them that are competing. It's not even, and hardly any of them are winning. Why are y'all so mad about this 1%? Listen, all you need is one seed to grow a whole tree. Okay? You're taking you're taking one lady's place now. But by the time you're done, you'll have spoiled the whole pot. You'll have tarnished the image of the whole sport. because you shouldn't be here. You're wasting a lot of people's time because you're taking a lot of places from people that deserve to be there at that time. Imagine somebody working months, weeks, months, years for a particular competition just to arrive there and see, you know what, this guy just came to compete, and I know this guy he was competing in the guy's dudes division this whole time, and all of a sudden he wants to be a girl. Now he comes to competing out. What are we doing? Where's society going then? What do we like? Where's society really going if that's what this is? What's the end game? What's the end game? We throwing the whole gender concept away, which is see that's the thing. It's not even a concept. It's a fact. We want to play God with facts now. They'll tell you scientific facts. You tell. I never see that. That's the crazy thing. You never hear the rebuttal of. You want to talk science? Well, bring me the facts. Where's the research that backs your facts? You keep throwing out facts, but where's the research that backs your facts? Show me the research. They ain't got no research. They just talk science and facts that don't exist. They making up facts and science. And here you are like a chimp. Yeah. You agreeing to it. Like a parrot. It's just a concept. It's just a concept. It's just a concept. See, you say it long enough, you start to believe it, and then you teach the children. And then kids are impressionable. Kids are impressionable. How a 12-year-old gonna tell you they want a gender what? Gender surgery. What? Gender sex change surgery. What's a 12-year-old doing thinking about sex? What do you know about dick and pussy that you should? I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said that, but I did. It's not like I'm monetized anyways by this video, but come on now. Let's say like what's a 12-year-old that is ding-a-ling thinking, I shouldn't have this ding-a-ling. Why I got this ding-a-ling? Why are you thinking about your ding-a-ling in the first place? My man. Why are you thinking about your, like, so now we should teach him about this now? The only thing a boy at 12 needs to know about their ding-a-ling is, you know what? You know why you got a ding-a-ling? Because you a man. You see that animal right there? That's a bull. You want to know why we know it's a bull? Look right there. He got a ding-a-ling too. Matter of fact, come here. Take a look at that bird over there. You want to know how we know he not a girl? First of all, look at his head. Got the crown, bright colors, so he can attract the girl. Because you know we like to have the diamonds and the chains. Nice shiny things to get the girls. And then look over there. He's going at her. Oh, he jumped on her. Look at that. Ding-a-ling. Boy or girl? I'm asking you now. I show you a picture. You tell me. Look at that elephant. Why he got 5 legs? Why you think he got 5 legs over there? Ding-a-ling. Oh, man, you see, you getting it now. 12, you ain't gotta, like, y'all making this so complicated. These kids are impressionable. If you teach them to worry about certain things they shouldn't even be worrying about at a certain age, they gonna worry about those things. They're gonna tell you this is wrong and why it's wrong to them. And then, you know, when you try and look for common sense in their line of thought, you'll realize there is no common sense. There is no sense. You'll come to realize this is an idea that's actually been planted in their head. And they have a certain amount of information that they can tell you to back their thoughts, their beliefs, what they understand to be their beliefs. Because grooming. Talk to a child. If you start teaching a child timetables before they can talk, I think there's a pretty high chance they're going to be pretty good at math by the time they're 3 years old. I got a pretty good idea that's how it works. If you're always reading books to your kids before they can talk, whilst they're in their bellies, whilst they're in your belly, I'm pretty sure you could teach your kids quite a lot by the time they reach a certain age, 3 to 5. Now, if you're going to indoctrinate your child into behaviors they shouldn't be, what's going to happen then? You understand what I'm saying? Why you got kids thinking they're girls when they're boys? Why you got girls thinking they're boys? Why you got parents not acting like parents and correcting the social construct, correcting reality? If your child is confused, don't accept it. There's a reason they can't vote. There's a reason they're not old enough to vote. But here you are. You want to pretend like they're old enough to make such life-changing, drastic decisions that they don't even know the repercussions to. Sex change surgery. Kid's not even old enough to understand what he's gonna. What first of all, the child's not old enough to understand what they're feeling. Furthermore, the child's not old enough to understand that what they're feeling will come to pass. It will pass. Not come to pass, but it will pass. And then third of all, the child don't understand that once what you're going through passes, you will actually become a different person, because the person you are before puberty and the person you are after puberty, they're not entirely different people, but those are two different people. But we're just going to say it's okay for them not to vote. But as far as gender goes, let them do whatever they want to do. Come on. Let's be real. What are we doing?
Pole vault event in Maine. I mean, this is happening across the country.
Right.
And to a large degree, women support this.
That's crazy.
Right, it's happening in every sport and at every level, and there's really no option to go around this when there are extremists who take up positions within the authoritative body of the USFA. So I have very little option other than being forced to fence. And I have gone down other pathways, like back in 2023 Summer Nationals, I just didn't sign up to fence in the Div 1A women's foil because there was another transgender person that I'd recognized in that tournament.
That's wasted time.
So, I mean, I've avoided it as much as I can, but at what point do I have to just avoid all tournaments altogether because there's going to be somebody who's trans there?
It's a tough choice, as you point out. Your opponent had two choices: could compete as biological male or could compete in the women's. You had the choice of competing in the women's. So, Stephanie, thank you for telling your story. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, people. DBNK. Like, comment, subscribe. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? And y'all letting them do it. That's a crazy thing. You know, that's another thing. The loudest people in the room are the non-athletes. You got women who've never done anything athletically gifted in their lives talking about sport, talking about what's fair in sport and what's not fair in sport. Why couldn't you play the sport? Did you play the sport? Were you ever good at sport? So how can you ever, if you couldn't compete with your own gender, what makes you think it's fair for a man to then compete with something you couldn't compete with within your own confines? You think just because you compete in the business world, your friend over there, this lady should be able to compete in her sporting cocoon. In her sporting world, she should be able to level up the same way you're leveling up in your business environment to these men. She should be able to level up in the sporting world to these men. That's the crazy thing to me. You got these women who have never played sport, and if they did, they never played it any good at any decent level. But they're the ones that are so loud. Let these trans women compete. Why are you giving them voice? Why do you think this is fair? What gives you the right to say what is fair and what isn't in terms of this? How do you know what is fair? Why didn't you compete? Did you compete? So how could you say if you weren't good enough from then and you didn't pursue, you decided to not pursue because you were not good enough? Why do you think it's okay for the person who beat you? Why do you think it's okay for that girl, that woman, that lady to have a man come and take what should be hers just because you decided that's not what you wanted to do because you couldn't compete in that? So because that is dog eat dog for that. Nah. Really? Ladies, get it together. Get it together. Get it together. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's grow the community. Episode 5. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? Common sense ain't common no more. In the street, they call it murder.